Yo, it's I don't wear a watch. What's up? It's like midnight on Sunday, and I just finished up with what I want to do for the day. I started today with making some more progress on my balcony renovation, but that's not really the point of this video. I didn't really have the opportunity to do a morning update, but that's okay because I made a lot of progress on rewriting the player controller. I split everything up so that the thing that actually handles input and sets the player's state is a completely different component of the player than the one that actually executes what's supposed to be done based on that state. So when you're pressing buttons to move or jump or dash, the game understands that's what you want to be doing and sets that state, and then the separate component looks at that state and says, oh, okay, it currently wants to be moving to the right, here's how we do that. By decoupling the player input and state management from what's actually executing, I think it's going to make it a lot easier on myself going forward to implement new features and to make sure everything's running really smoothly. I think one really good indication is that the dash feels good already, and I haven't even fine-tuned it that much, whereas in the Game Jam version, because everything was all coupled together, I actually struggled to make the dash feel good because I couldn't isolate it and really fine tune it. It was all just jammed in with everything. That's when you press start executing dash code. So I added jump cutting, which wasn't in the game before, where you can control how high you jump based on how long you hold the key. If you let go of your jump early, you will start falling sooner. Stuff like that. I also started getting in the fundamentals of wall jumping and wall sliding. I think it's going to open up a lot of design space for interesting challenges and cool platforming sections by being able to vertically ascend by hopping along the wall. Plus, it was in Mega Man X, and I love that game, so I'm gonna do it too. But yeah, I'm really happy with the progress I made refactoring the player controller and getting that all set up in a much easier to work with way for moving forward on the project, because if I was trying to just shove in every new feature, all the armor upgrades, all the new attacks and stuff into that old player controller, it would be impossible to manage and full of bugs, whereas this one feels much more manageable. I did have to bang my head into it for a few days before it really started to cooperate, but I think I made some good progress. The other thing that I did today was I spent some time thinking about the armor upgrades, and I do think the armor upgrades will be boots, gloves, the chest piece, and the scarf. I think it'll probably be the backstep, the air boost, the charged attack, and the projectile absorption. I think that those feel really good to me. I'll definitely be excited to hear feedback on those choices once this video goes out, so I'll call today a victory. But I think that's it for tonight, so I'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace out. Check one, check two, check hoobity-doo. What's up, gamers? Hopefully I can record this before my battery dies. We'll see. It is Monday, my dudes. I just finished up with work for the day, and now I'm excited to jump into making some more progress on my animation controller, mostly because we just got these awesome action poses for Isadora. It was mostly to test the new design, make sure it worked in a lot of different poses and that we liked it. I think Fur knocked these poses out of the park. I think they look amazing. I'm super excited to get them in game, get them in the new movement code that I wrote, and see how it feels to just run and jump around. It'll only be cycling through these poses, so it's not going to feel, fully animated, but I think it'll give me a good sense of if this character model is going to work. If this design is what we need going forward. So I'm gonna hop into that right now, and I'll talk to y'all later. Peace. I did that update really quick because my battery's about to die. Whoa! Alright, it's starting to get late, so I'm wrapping it up for the night. I made some really good progress. Got all those action poses actually integrated into the new system. Editor Senpai, will you throw that one up there so that we can all look at her jumping around? She's got dashing, she's got wall hopping, she can dash off the wall. It's got all those great features, coyote time, it's got all that stuff that you want in a platformer, and by adding in an animation controller that watches the state of the character and tries to update the animation appropriately, I was able to find lots of little bugs with the state controller that I hadn't noticed before, leaving wall hangs early, not properly triggering wall jumps, that sort of thing. But it's all cleaned up now, and I think it's looking really good. I'm really satisfied with the way she moves around. She's still a little bit floaty. The controls might need a little bit of fine-tuning, but once we have a more complete set of movement animations and we have the movement engine more finalized with those animations, I'm planning on making a build where I just have a generic room to run around in and jump and climb, and basically just a big sandbox to play in. And I'm going to have a few different presets, buttons along the top that you can switch between control schemes, and then I'm going to send that out to playtesters and maybe even some of you watching this right now if you're interested to see which control scheme feels the best when you're actually playing as this character. In addition to that, I started thinking about some enemy designs for some of the levels. I was trying to work on some ambushing enemies. The one level that's obvious is the Corrupted Forest. It's the level that was in the Game Jam version, and I was thinking having an enemy that hides in bushes and pops out and attacks you would make a lot of sense. Just to make sure you always feel like you're unease in the forest and make the inhabitants feel like they're really dangerous, rather than just walking around. So I came up with a few enemy designs that I'm pretty happy with, and I'm going to continue making progress on that. Not too much to show for it, but at least have some ideas there. And then also reaching out to some environment artists that I found on Twitter that I think are really good, because the game's going to need a lot of cool art. So yeah, a pretty full day, but it's late and I'm going to go to sleep. I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. Peace out. Deuces. What's that? I don't know. That felt really weak and low energy, but that's probably because I'm tired. Whoa. What's up, gamers? It is Tuesday, my friends. I just finished up with work a little bit later than usual today, so not gonna have as long to get stuff done. We got some cool pixel art came in today. You can check out Isadora's idle animation. I really like the fidgeting on the foot. I think it fits Isadora's overall nature as like a more anxious person, because this is an indie game, so the main character has to suffer from some kind of mental illnesses. And overall, I just think it's nice, especially because if there's the version where she kind of fidgets her foot, and then another version where like the scarf blows and her hair blows in the wind a little bit, then I can use those frames and kind of programmatically vary up the animation so that the idle doesn't ever feel stale. And I think that'll serve the purpose of an idle animation. I mean, most people don't just stand still in the game anyway, so. And then, more importantly, or more excitingly, made some concepts for armor upgrades. You can check them out here. Now, there are only 3 here, but this was more of a proof of concept that this armor works as upgrades, not so much like actually refining the design. But I really like the spiky shoulders. I like the different scarf upgrades. One of them becomes 2 scarves, and the other 2 just like become capes. But the gloves, the pointy shoulder pads, the extra chest piece, I think this more than proves that the armor upgrades will work out just fine with this character design. So with that, I think Fur's gonna move on to the movement animations, like running and jumping and dashing and wall sliding. I've been bashing my head into this movement engine quite a lot over the past couple days, so I think today I'm gonna focus on maybe some design work. Yeah, so I'm gonna work on some enemy designs because, for one, I'm kind of excited about figuring out what kind of enemies can go in these levels, because I want to have some enemy design concepts for Fur to really sink their teeth into once they get these Isadora animations out the window. Once they finish the Isadora animations. The main takeaway is that I'm going to be trying to do some enemy designs, which involves a lot of watching some old games, you know. Probably going to grab a snack, maybe some ice cream or something, and just watch someone play through Symphony of the Night or Mega Man X2 or X3. I've already watched a lot of the first Mega Man X game. And just look at some of the enemies and see how people engage with them, and think about what kind of things I would want in the enemies for my game. So, yeah, time to get to that. Talk to y'all later. Finished up for now. I actually did mess around with the movement engine a little bit. There are a few bugs with wall hangs that I'm still trying to iron out to make sure everything feels correct. I know I mentioned I want to go over the different types of levels in a future video, but as a little preview of what's to come for you, one of the levels is like a snowy, icy type level. It's pretty classic for this kind of game. And so I've been going over what kind of enemies make sense for that level. And I was inspired by this purple-pink turtle thing from Mega Man. If you can find an image of it, editor. If not, put whatever you like in my hand. The world is your oyster. And I think it would make for a really good enemy for that level, because I think having some kind of creature laying in the snow that's throwing snowballs at you in like a learnable pattern would be really cool. Somewhat inspired by like a Snorlax type lazy guy. And I think I want to incorporate some stealth mechanics. I know when I say that, designers out there are like, stealth mechanics? Not exactly stealth, more so enemies, like the enemy AI in that level is more attuned to like what you're doing and watching you and making sure that they attack you when they notice you. So there's a little bit more like route planning and more like trying to dodge enemies and not encounter too many at the same time, otherwise you'll get overrun. So trying to plan out how I want that to feel. I'm probably actually going to start trying to implement some of these mechanics, even if it's just like red squares attacking the player. I think having the mechanics in place for once we actually get the enemy sprites will be a huge win. And did some more searching on Twitter for environment artists, and boy, there are a lot of really good artists on Twitter. But one thing I noticed is when I'm looking at Twitter artists and I see like a really nice like landscape or background or any sort of nice environment, and I click on their profile to see if they're like open for commissions, it always says like lead art director head with 2,000 years of experience at, you know, Monkey Fart Studios. I'm just trying to find an artist to make some backgrounds for my game, man. I think I might have to like bite the bullet and start making some environment art on my own, especially stuff like tile sets, but I do like making pixel art. It's just something I need to practice because I'm not very good at it. But yeah, I think that's about it for this update. Hopefully there's some usable stuff in there. I will talk to y'all tomorrow. Peace out. See ya. Deuces. Bye-bye for tonight. Woo, 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 woo. It is Wednesday, my dudes. I almost didn't record a devlog today because I did not want to. I had a dentist appointment, and when I got back, I was kind of in pain, and I didn't want to record because my teethies hurt. And also, like, I was still numb because it was a filling, so I thought it might be kind of strange. Like, I couldn't feel this part of my mouth, so it might not really work for the video if I was talking like this the whole time. Like, hey guys, I'm got a new update for the video. But then Fur sent me over this just killer running animation for Isadora, and I was pretty hype about it, so I got it into engine, and then I was like, well, I should probably talk about this on camera. Especially because after I got it working in engine and running around, I made a few other tweaks and tested it out a bit, and then I had to open up the old build of the game that has the old animations in it that I made, and the difference was comical. It was like night and day. After running around with Fur's animation for Isadora, using mine felt like it was bad on purpose as like a funny, hilarious comedy joke. It's nonsense how jarring it is, the difference between the two. Like, Editor Senpai, can you really zoom in? And I want to see the new Isadora running animation right next to the old Isadora running animation, and you can probably see what I mean. And it's so funny because I thought before I had the new one in, I thought mine was pretty good. I thought I did a pretty good job on it. I was pretty happy with the way it looked. But now, after seeing the new one, comparatively, that old one is just garbage. It's like every day I get more and more enthusiastic and energetic about the future of the game because these animations are just killer. And so seeing Isadora come together gives me confidence that, you know, the levels can come together and the bosses can come together and the whole game can come together. And I'm just really hyped. And also, isn't that animation sick? Other than that, I don't really have too much to share today. Recording it a second time really takes the steam out of you, but whatever. I've been rambling for now, so peace. What's up, gamers? It is Thursday. We're getting close to the end of this 2-week sprint. I had to work pretty late today, so I didn't get to record like a starting my day devlog, but I did get to make some changes to the game. You can actually see it running right behind me here. You can actually see me move around. What? Oh shit, I fell off. Uh-oh. Playing the game backwards is kind of hard. I'm just going to fall indefinitely in the background for a while. First sent over some jumping and falling animations that look really good, and I put those in game. And also there is a transition animation that goes between the jumping frames and the falling frames. And it's something I've never had before, and it wasn't in the original build, and it really makes it so much smoother. It's wild to me how much of a difference those 2 frames of animation make to transition between the two. So here's a clip of me playing without the 2 frames of animation that transitions between the two, and here is the version with those 2 frames. It's so much nicer, and it feels way better to control too, especially with really short hops where you like jump cut, you let go of the button so you only do a tiny jump. Immediately transitioning into the falling animation with those 2 frames feels so much more natural with the small hops. It's really good. So I think that feels great. I think the running feels great, and overall the character movement is really shaping out nicely. I'm hoping that by the end of next week, maybe 2 weeks from now, we'll have like a pretty fleshed out main character controller, and it'll just feel really good to play. So in the meantime, still trying to crank away on some enemy designs and some level designs and trying to find an environment artist. So still got some stuff going on in the background, but that's all I have for today. Yeah, pretty tired, so I'm gonna head to bed. I will talk to you later. Peace. Dosinki. Okay. Yo, it's Friday. So, I messed up my hair. As I mentioned last Friday, I always take my partner out for a date night, so no devlog from earlier today. After I got back from a nice meal and a very frantic trip to IKEA, I was playing around with the attack state for the player. This is something that I really need to make a decision on because it's really important, but it's also something that I need to gather a lot of feedback for so that I can make the right decision, because we're working on the attack animation, and I want to have like a 3-hit combo where each attack does a little more damage, maybe like 100%, 150, 200%, because I want to incentivize the player to really stay in the fight and wail on a boss, right? Not like get in, attack, get out, get in, attack, get out. I want them to find openings and push it as far as they can to get that extra damage, but I wanted them to be able to do this combo while they were moving. The easiest solution to that is just to put the attack animation on the top half of the player sprite, and then have the bottom half of the player sprite continue playing the running animation. That animation never really feels that good, and it doesn't feel like there's as much weight behind the attack. And so the other potential solution is just to stop the player's movement when they do the attack. This is okay, but it does feel somewhat jarring to get frozen in place when you're attacking. It's not that fun of an experience. So I was thinking maybe I could straddle the middle ground there, where the player has a 3-hit combo, and either the first or the first and second attack of that 3-hit combo can happen while you're moving. So you can do the first hit of the combo while you're moving, and then if you continue comboing, it stops you, so that you can feel the weight behind the additional stronger attacks. To me, this feels like it's gonna be a pretty good solution, rather than either you always stop to attack or you can always move while attacking. But I'd love to hear what people think. This is like a classic problem when it comes to the attack animation, right? At least it's a problem I've had with every 2D platformer where I try to add an attack animation. So I'd love to hear if other people have interesting solutions that they've implemented, or if they've heard of, because I was doing some research looking at how other people do attack animations, and nothing really stood out to me as actually solving this problem of whether you stop to attack or move to attack. And I think that they result in very different feelings for the gameplay, where if you move while attacking, it's a lot more like fluid, whereas if you stop while you're attacking, it's a lot more measured and careful, right? Because you can't continue like jumping around. You have to stop and attack. But I think the path where the first 2 attacks of the combo can happen while you're moving, and it's just the 3rd hit that actually stops player movement, will give the best feeling. And I'm definitely going to test what it feels like for the attack animation to stop your movement, because no matter what happens, you need to be able to attack from the idle state. Once I have that animation in and have been testing it, I'll make sure to show y'all. Fur hit us up with this dashing animation and this I just took damage like wince animation, and these are both fantastic, especially that wince. It actually feels like perfect to me. I can't imagine a better I took damage animation for the character. It's like retro, it has a great energy to it. It feels exactly like I want it to feel. So I think these animations look great. They're going right in the engine, and it's gonna feel really good. Didn't have too much else for today, just thinking about the design of that attack stuff, so I'm gonna go to bed because it's like 1:30 in the morning. It's been a long and exciting 2 weeks of development, and I think it's cool that over the course of this devlog, we took Isadora from her old image all the way redesigned to this new awesome look. And just seeing the two side by side is so clear how worth it was to do this. The character has completely come to life, and it's really, really dope to see. And from people's reactions to it, seems like everyone really likes the redesign, so that's super exciting, and I'm really happy about that. If you have made it this far, then I would suggest hitting that subscribe button so that you can see when the next devlog comes out. Also, if you enjoyed the video, do me a huge favor and press that like button. It's cool to be trying out this new format and seeing how this devlog process goes. And also recording these devlogs every day kind of keeps me honest and keeps me actually like making progress on the game. It's really easy to just like sit down at my desk with the intention of getting work done on the project and then getting completely sidetracked or doing something else with my time. But knowing that I'm going to record this, like recording this and then working and then recording the next update, it really makes me focus because, you know, you got to get stuff done. So I think the past 2 weeks we've made a lot of progress on the game, considering I think the design of the main character is like one of the most important parts. So coming up in the next 2 weeks, we're going to be getting more animations for her movement and getting those plugged in, hopefully also being able to attack, and stubbing in some functionality for enemies and stubbing in a test level to run around and test the character so that we can get really specific on the movement controls so that we know that she's good. That's going to be the focus of the next 2 weeks, so I don't need to ramble on too much longer. You've already listened to me talk enough. Thanks for watching. I'm Kenneth, and you just got filled in. I'll see you tomorrow. Wait, I don't think that's my outro. Don't think I'm allowed to just steal outros like that. Yeah, thanks for watching. Peace out.